Hey guys, this is Kevin from jazztime.com. Jazztime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you want to know the price of the watch, simply click on the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate it if you'll buy a watch from jazztime.com once in a while. Alright, so the model we're going to be reviewing today is the Rolex Datejust 41. This is the model number 126300. We'll be going over the dial, bezel, case crown, bracelet clasp, and we'll talk about the movement towards the end of the video. The current configuration I have in my hand here as we jump right into the dial is the newly released 2019 white dial with Roman numerals. Specifically, the Roman numerals are the most important part about it. That's what makes it the 2019 version. Alongside that was released was a blue Roman as well, with a lighter blue than the standard typical blue that you see on a Rolex Datejust, and we have our own standalone video on that. So really So besides that, if you're not interested in the Roman numerals or the white dial, you can also get it in the standard index hour markers, which are the stick hour markers with luminosity filling, and you can get that in a black, white, or silver or blue dial. But the dial is fairly simple as it is a Datejust watch. It keeps pretty much the same structure overall. So we have the hour markers with date window to 3 o'clock position, Cyclops lens on top of that sapphire crystal for easier viewing and easier viewing of the date via the magnification from the Cyclops lens. We have the Rolex crown logo at the 12 o'clock position, fashioned in an 18 karat white gold. Actually, all the hour markers are fashioned in 18 karat white gold, along with the hour, minute, and seconds hand as well, and that's to prevent any tarnishing. There's no luminosity filling on this specific dial style, so as they are all 18 karat white gold fashioned. So you won't have any sort of visibility in the dark with this watch. We have the typical railroading on the very outer edge of the watch itself, and we have the Swiss made at the 6 o'clock position, right under that 6 Roman numeral, with the Rolex crown logo right in between that Swiss made there, and that sort of indicates that this movement has been improved, as most of the Rolex movements have been. Some of the newer Rolex models from the 2018 and 2019 have been improved. We'll have that sort of signaling with this Swiss made with the Rolex crown logo in between it, and we'll talk about more about that later in the when we get to the movement. But for now, we have the typical Rolex Oyster Perpetual name, Datejust name, right under that 12 o'clock position, and the boasting about being within Swiss specs with the superlative chronometer officially certified, right there at the 6 o'clock position, or rather right above it. Alright, so moving on to the bezel now. Bezel is a very simple style of bezel, as this is the 126300. It's just a simple smooth bezel, so that's made out of 904L steel, which is a Rolex in-house made steel that has a little more shine and corrosion resistance to it. Additionally, it is a complete high polish as well, matching with the high polish on the lugs of the case. You can see the high polish on top matching with the circle of the bezel, and on the bottom portion of the lugs as well, sort of giving a nice shine to the frontal face of the watch, as the white doesn't pop by itself, and it does need the addition of the shine from like I said, from the lugs, from the bezel, and from the hands as well, as the hands are also in that sort of high polishing as well. As I tilt it against my light source here, you can kind of see that. So it helps the white pop a little bit, but even then the white by itself already just looks absolutely gorgeous. So moving on to the case sizes, I've already talked about the high polishing on the lugs. The case sizes, as the name states, Datejust 41. So it's a 41mm sized watch. So from my index finger to my thumb here, that's 41mm in diameter. From the side profile of the watch, you can see nice slim profile, will fit under suit cuffs, dress cuffs very nicely, with a nice high polish on it as well, matching with the high polish on the sides of the bracelet. And as I shift that over to the other side, you can see that same high polish on the sides of the case, on the bracelet again, Rolex crown logo on the crown itself there, and you'll see that on the crown logo itself, you'll see a nice indicator, sort of a underscoring line underneath the crown, indicating that this watch is a twin lock double waterproofness system for the crown itself. But specifically, before we move on to the crown, one last thing I want to mention about the sort of case sizing, and you can see that bezel as well from the side profile, nice thin smooth bezel. This is actually an update from the previous predecessor model, which was the Rolex Datejust 2. That was the 116-300s before it became the 126-300s. We do have a comparison video on our YouTube channel you can check out if you want to know the exact differences. But just to sum it up, they've actually slimmed down the bezel and slimmed down the casing from that previous predecessor to have more of an overall nice, more proportional look in conjunction with the Jubilee or Oyster bracelet. So moving on to the crown now, the crown unscrews counterclockwise as shown. I'm just going to go ahead and move this minute hand out of the way here for a sec. All right, so in the standard position that we've unscrewed the crown out to, this is where you can wind the watch. About 15 to 20 winds is all you need to get the watch started once more. Pulling the crown out to the next position will allow you to adjust the date instantaneously by going clockwise. As you can see, very easy, very quick to adjust the date. And then pulling the crown out to the final position, keep your eye on the seconds hand there. It's going to stop right where I pull that crown out. So that does stop the seconds hand for precise time settings, such as to an atomic clock online. You can set it down to the exact seconds for precise time setting. And then you'll also be able to adjust the hands bidirectionally, of course, however you like. Pressing the crown back in, starts that second hand once more, and always make sure to screw the crown nice and tight in against the case. All right, with the crown nice and tight against the case, you keep the crown itself protected, and also you keep the watch water resistant. Specifically for this watch, the Rolex standard water resistance of 100 meters or 330 feet. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the bracelet now. The bracelet is a Jubilee style bracelet. Once again, the nice high polish on the lugs matching with the high polish of these 5-piece links down the center. The high polish in the center is juxtaposed by the contrasting of the satin finish on the outer of the 5-piece link. So the thicker links on the outer portions, you can see the nice satin or brush steel versus that high polish down the center. And one thing to mention here is the Jubilee bracelet does not come on the concealed folding crown class. Specifically for the Jubilee style bracelets, they usually come on a just complete Jubilee pattern with the Rolex crown logo where it is now, and you'd be able to open up from there instead of seeing this sort of oyster style clasp. But they decided to change that in some of the newer style Datejust models, not only in the 41s but also in the 36s or 31s as well, where the Jubilee style bracelets come with a sort of oyster style clasp now, instead of that concealed folding crown class. Specifically, the previous predecessor, as I mentioned, the Datejust 2, it didn't even come on the Jubilee bracelet. So the Datejust 41 is nice enough to come on the Jubilee bracelet now. But moving on, you can see that patterning going throughout the other side, nice tapering from the the initial link all the way back to the clasp itself. Moving on to the clasp is, as I mentioned, sort of this oyster folding clasp. Just opens up as so, revealing this nicely high polished clasp blade with the Rolex name embossed on there. And then closing up that clasp as well, you can see that closed up once more. I'll go ahead and open it up again. So one thing nice to mention about the oyster style clasp, even if you did like the Jubilee style concealed folding crown clasp, is that you can also now have these sort of small millimeter increment adjustments with the easy link. So pulling out the Jubilee bracelet just a little bit will reveal these indentations, one in the front, one in the back, and you'll be able to adjust on hotter days or colder days. Depending on the weather. If it's hotter, obviously your wrist swells up a little bit, the watch might get a little bit too tight on your wrist. You'll be able to adjust it with that 5 millimeter increment, and vice versa. So a nice little feature there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the movement now. So the movement is housed in a simple oyster case backing. You can see the nice high polish bordering around with the nice satin finish at the top of the part that sits on top of your wrist. The movement itself is updated. It used to be a 31-35 movement in the previous model, but now we're looking at a 32-35 movement, which is still an in-house made movement by Rolex. It's a perpetual mechanical self-winding movement. Has a precision of -2 + 2 seconds a day, as I mentioned, with the sort of boasting about it at the 6 o'clock position with the text there. The oscillator is a paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring, which has additional resistance against magnetism, but now it's paired with a Paraflex shock absorber, which is a shock absorbers made by Rolex themselves. They're trying to shift from using all in-house parts rather than using sort of outsourced parts or other companies' parts. So the Paraflex shock absorbers take over from the KIF shock absorbers, which is the industry standard. But Rolex claims it absorbs 50% more shocks than that KIF shock absorbers. Not only that, they've also swapped out the escapement, and now it's called the Chrono G escapement, as Rolex has named. And their escapement is a escapement wheel made out of a nickel phosphorus, and it's also skeletonized as well. The skeletonization helps with the reduction of inertia for keeping that precise timekeeping, and also the nickel phosphorus pairs with a paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring in terms of reducing, or rather adding resistance against magnetism. With those adjustments, we now look at a new power reserve, which used to be a 48-hour power reserve. Now we're looking at a 70-hour power reserve, and you could put this watch down on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Sunday or Monday afternoon, and you'll be keeping time just fine. All right, let me go ahead and show you this watch on my wrist now. So we're going to locate that folding oyster, open that up, slip that right on. Nice and easy. I do have an average man size wrist of a 7-inch wrist. Most typical Rolex watches fit a 7.5-inch wrist. As you can see, still a little bit of wiggle room there for me. And there's the watch. Nice, simple, clean. Look at that sort of white, that flat white dial. Pops very nicely with the sort of high polishing again from the lugs, from that bezel, and then matching very nicely with the satin finish on the outer portions of the links, that Jubilee bracelet, just looking absolutely dressy. And then see the clasp, very nice. So if you're interested in this model or any other model for the lowest possible price, check out our website at jazztime.com. We have the lowest prices guaranteed. We offer a 1-year warranty. If you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys soon.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.